This December on Best of the Rest, we are covering the movies that you demand. To make your voice heard, head to the show notes, click the link, and tell us what movies we are covering this December. That's right, December is Listener Demands Month on Best of the Rest. Again, head to the show notes right now and tell us what movies we are watching. Have you heard the news, Andrew?
I hear lots of news, Chris.
Well, apparently the listeners of this podcast are deciding the movies that we're going to cover on the show. Can you believe that?
Why have we done this?
What have we done? What hath we unleashed?
My God.
This December,
what have I done?
Every movie covered on this podcast is picked by you, the listener. How do you do that? I'm glad you asked. You just look at the show notes. There's a link for a very quick Google form that you fill out. You just type in the movie you want us to watch. You can put in why if you want. You can pick up the 2 movies if you want to get really crazy. Hit submit, and there you go. Your pick will be in the pool of movies that we cover. Movies that get a lot of traction are pretty much going to be a lock, I would think, for us to cover. But if you want to do something really out there, you think maybe no one else is going to pick, go ahead and throw it in there. It might get chosen. But every movie we cover, again, it's coming from you. Now, of course, when I say you, listener, I'm talking about if you're listening to this in 2025. The nature of podcasts. I don't know. Maybe you're someone in the future. Maybe you're listening to old episodes and this no longer applies. The movies are already picked. They're already in your podcast feed if you're listening to this in 2026 or later. And you kind of know how this goes. But if you just bear with me, I'm talking to people here now, live in the present. If you're listening to this in November of 2025, please let us know what we are covering in December. And be gentle. Or don't. It's up to you. Whatever you demand. Play that theme song.
We're not talking about the best of them. We're just talking about the rest of them.
Not the worst parts, but the best parts. And the best parts we have. The best of the rest.
Hello and welcome to Best of the Rest. My name is Chris Logan and I am joined as always by my demonically possessed co-host Andrew Williams. Say something to the listeners, Andrew.
Hello.
Each week we take a second look at a movie that was poorly received upon release and challenge ourselves to only talk about the things we like and what the movie does well. It's Stoner Month, and this week we are talking the 1999 film Idle Hands. Andrew, what is your history with this movie? Have you seen it before this week?
I believe I have. I definitely remembered scenes from this movie. I know that I've seen like parts of it for sure. I don't know that I've ever sat down and watched the whole thing. And even if I had, it had been many years at this point. So I was really excited to jump back in and watch it for the podcast, especially since we're just exiting spooky season, to be able to kind of have a coda to that where we do kind of one last spooky season movie.
The spooky season hangover, in a good way.
I guess. But I did.
You think the way you said it was better? A coda?
Forward. I'm powering forward. Yeah, coda sounds way more classy. But Coda was the name of the last Led Zeppelin album. Like, a hangover. There's a trilogy of hangover movies, Chris. No one asked for that.
And Coda was always part of the title of the third Godfather movie, as we know.
Why'd you have to do that? But anyway. So no, I've not. If I have watched it before, it's definitely been some time, but I was excited to get back with it. Definitely didn't see this in theaters. This was 99. I was probably about to turn 12 years old, so not really something my parents were lining me up to see. at the theater. But yeah, excited to talk about it.
I did not see this in theaters, but I did see it shortly thereafter. I probably saw this in 1999. I probably saw it on VHS. And I've actually seen this movie
Fancy.
a lot, but not in a long time. It's been at least 20 years since I've watched it. I don't think I realized how much I watched it until I rewatched it and realized, like, I kind of know every scene in Line Delivery. I watched this movie a lot back in the day, but I don't know that I ever owned it like on DVD. Like, I don't think it's ever been part of my collection. I haven't revisited it, but I I love it. And it actually kind of inspired a Halloween costume for me back in the day. We'll get to it. We'll get to it, but man, I'm also excited to talk
that's
about
why
it.
you wore the Joker costume. The Joker costume was a tribute to Idle Hands. Got it.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I can't even bridge that gap that you just said it there, Andrew. I don't know how that would work. No, not that year, Andrew. Different year, but we'll talk about it. We'll cover it. But right now, we have to set the stage for this film. This movie that was released April 20th. No, April 30th. 1999. Missed
So
it by
close.
that much.
So close.
Made on a budget of $25 million. At the box office, it brings in a whopping $4.2 million. Absolute bomb. And critically, it is panned. 18% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oof.
I mean, how many times we got to say it, Andrew? Under 20%, hard to do. Usually a sign that something has gone horribly wrong, that there's hardly a narrative, there's some huge problems. It doesn't happen too often, but 18%. The audience score, I expected it to be higher. It's 58%, obviously much higher than the critics, but I don't know. This movie, I think, has its following, has its fans, it's somewhat of a cult film. Before we hit record, we were looking up the latest Blu-ray release and if it's still available out there, because we both want to now add it to our collection. But 58%, so still not. I don't know. I expected more. I expected it to be higher. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I agree. And this box office is, like you said, this is woof. So opening weekend, it comes in number 7. The big new release that weekend that took number 1 was the formative film for many youth, Entrapment.
Yes.
I'm not saying that that's like the Mummy level awakening for people, but there's definitely some people that got an awakening from Entrapment.
I don't know. Actually, I can tell you, I don't think I've ever seen Entrapment, but I've seen the trailer and I know what you're referring to, and I know the imagery. In fact, I remember, I don't know if the poster was like this, but certainly by the time it hit home video, the poster was like Anthony Hopkins' face. That's Anthony Hopkins in it, right? No, who's the old man? Sean Connery. Sean Connery. Yeah. That's not the person I was focusing on. What I'm saying is it's a big old man's face, and then like superimposed in like the corner is like the laser scene with it's a Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah, that's not the poster I remote. Yeah.
But I think that was the home video.
Yeah.
Like I think like they knew like by that point like what the selling point is.
They know what the deal is. Yeah. So Entrapment opens at number 1, bringing in $20 million. It brings in 5 times this movie's entire box office in its opening weekend. At number 2, in its 5th week of release, is a little movie called The Matrix, which is just still crushing it. At number 3 is a movie called Life, which was the it's who is in that movie? It's Martin Lawrence and somebody. But it's like they go to prison in the 30s, and it's Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence.
Another movie I've seen a lot. I think it was a movie channel staple, so I got to see that movie a lot.
And then like also in it is like Ned Beatty's in it, Arlie Ermy, Oba Babatunde, Bernie Mac. Like it's a wild, it's one of those movies that I kind of forget about sometimes. That was in its 3rd week of release and was still making money. Never Been Kissed is out there. Analyze This, 10 Things I Hate About You. Like it's a lot of 1999 classics. And then you jump forward a week and Idle Hands has dropped to number 13, making less than $1 million.
Woof.
And it is upset by a number one new release called The Mummy, which just that movie, Entrapment and The Mummy came out on back-to-back weeks. That's a whole lot of people realizing a lot of things about themselves in 8 days. But what's odd here to me is the movie Election must have gotten some sort of re-release because it surges from number 26 up to number 5. There's a investigation there that I don't really have the energy to do right now.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, April is late for like awards. Well, that's when
We're
is that
down
when you get more
to we're
like nominations are out, but is that when the actual ceremony is? But I don't
and it
think
might have been
Election
that it
like
was a
huge
limited
Oscar
release,
movie.
and maybe it
It
was like a
went
limited
wide.
release and it expanded. I don't know. But
I don't know.
by the third
We
weekend,
want
Idle
to make
Hands
some
has
more
dropped into
guesses
the
on what it could be
20s.
without telling people what it actually is. Any other?
I don't know. I'm talking about Idle Hands, man. I'm just saying it was weird that it surged up like over 1,000%. By the third weekend, Idle Hands is number 22, and by the fourth week, it's gone. It's number 43 by week. It's over.
I mean, it's losing
yeah.
theaters. Yeah.
And then Star Wars Episode 1 comes out May 21st and basically kills the summer for everybody else. But anyway, a box office, so it's already coming out against a pretty stiff competition. The Matrix is still cleaning it up. Obviously, Entrapment was a big release when it came out. The Mummy, followed by Star Wars. Like, these are just things that you can't fight. So I think the release date was probably part of this too. Like, obviously, I think releasing it like end of April, and then obviously there's, people will mention that Columbine happened around the same time. Hip fingers on the pulse Senator Joe Lieberman berated it literally on the floor of Congress. So there was almost a new satanic panic about this movie, about defeating the devil possessed hand. Like, they're the good guys.
I obviously would never point towards any media as being responsible for something like that, but The Matrix is doing fine in theaters. So
Right.
I'm not sure how much you can say Columbine is the reason this movie tanks, because visually and thematically, there's more in common, or there's more direct imagery in The Matrix than in
Well,
in
yeah,
Idle Hands.
absolutely. Idle Hands is like purposely like kind of a comedy, flat
Yes.
out, whereas The Matrix is just a bunch of people dressed in all black with guns. Like, that's literally what the movie's
Yeah,
about.
Yeah.
So it is odd to me that Idle Hands kind of got the brunt of that, and maybe that's because The Matrix had already been in theaters. I don't know. Either way, the movie's box office just absolutely dies. I don't know if the critical reception is part of this. Obviously, like at the time, it wasn't in vogue, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, you could really going to give a good review to this movie? I'm not saying that's what happened, but like, because even the audience score hasn't really moved up. But I would expect this to at least sit in like the 50s. That feels fair to me for a movie like this. But
Let me ask you a question, Andrew.
uh-oh.
I'm a big fan of like horror comedy. I just think they just go so well together, and they're a lot of fun. Is horror comedy ever a recipe for like box office success, like big numbers? Like, am I overlooking something? Because like Evil Dead movies are never huge in theaters. They're indie movies that get
And the
huge
newer
cult
ones,
following.
like I kind
They're-
of speak on this as nicely as I can. The newer ones are a lot more straight horror. The comedy is
Right,
definitely like downplayed.
Like Tucker and Dale versus Evil is another flop that finds its audience on home video. What We Do in the Shadows obviously has spawned a whole franchise, but was not a huge thing in theaters. Idle Hands. Ready or Not is great, but I don't know if that I mean, it's getting a sequel. Maybe that did better than I realized, but
It did. Ready or
Yeah.
Not was like Ready or Not was made for like $6 million. So that was a huge part of its success, and I think it made like 50 million. So it did
Okay.
pretty well.
So it happens.
But in that case, it was something, and like you can look at something like maybe like Bodies, but even that, like, it made money, but it was still on a very low level.
What did Cabin in the Woods do? Let me look at this. Cabin in the Woods made 69.9 million off of 30 million.
Off of 30 million. It's obviously not what you're hoping for, but and even like Shaun of the Dead, like I don't know, like I don't view Shaun of the Dead in like the same vein as like an Evil Dead 2 or even
that's
this,
much.
if-
Shaun of the Dead's a comedy with horror
Yeah.
elements, like and like it.
but that's
it's-
what these are. It's like a
Yeah.
weird line, but like I view them.
I don't know why it feels
like-
different, but it does.
I can't say either, and maybe it's because I don't know. It's like Dexter. It's like I know Shaun of the Dead is different. I just can't prove it. Like it's like I don't get it. But
yeah,
it's
yeah.
but yeah, something like Ready or Not is probably the closest, because that's what came to mind immediately. I was like, oh, that was pretty successful, and like that's definitely like a horror comedy. But because like even stuff like Scream like is still like meta and self-aware, but I wouldn't call Scream a comedy necessarily. Like I wouldn't say Scream is like there's comedy, there's like a comedic element, but like in a way a lot of horror movies have like a comedic element to an extent. But I don't know, like it's tough. Yeah, I think Ready or Not, and that's one. I mean, that's it's a weird blend, but it feels like you said, what's something like Beetlejuice? Like, is Beetlejuice not horror enough
mean,
to be considered horror comedy?
it's not-
Like,
I'm struggling with like definitions right now, but Beetlejuice is not in the same category as Idle Hands. It's just not, in my opinion. I mean, I think
very
that
different
is
subject matter.
that is like God, I don't know. Beetlejuice is only
I feel like part
if
of the
you're
problem.
Beetlejuice is only scary if you're like 7 years old and some of the imagery is like freaky. But like, I don't watch it now as a horror movie. Like, it's just it has Tim Burton sensibilities and visuals, but like it's not. I don't know. Like it's it's got macabre and supernatural and horror. I don't know. I'm really struggling here on the spot to define
You
these
did.
things.
To
but-
be very clear, Chris, you did this. Like you.
well, you asked me if
Like,
Beetlejuice was a horror
No.
comedy, and
This
I would not call
this
it that.
whole horror comedy discussion, you did this. I didn't
I
bring
mean,
this
yes,
up. You
that's-
did.
that's I guess that's true.
I'm just trying to find if there's answers of it being a success, because like
I don't
like
consider
Evil Dead
Beetlejuice to be
2
a horror comedy.
Like Evil Dead 2 is like the bar for which most horror comedies are compared. That's kind of the basis of like this definition of like horror comedy, where like you can have a horror that just devolves into like a slapstick and it doesn't necessarily feel out of place. And like honestly, something like Idle Hands like probably could have gone a little bit harder with that. Like, you know, there's a detached hand in this movie, and there's not one Tom and Jerry reference. It's terrible. It's just a waste. But
A Tom and Jerry reference with the detached hand. What
Just-
am I missing here?
the cat chasing the mouse, like there's no like
okay.
slapsticky thing where like they're
Oh, okay, loonier. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
yes, loonier, yes. Like
I
there's
got it,
no
got it.
scene where he's like literally running around a room trying to hit the hand with a thing to keep, like there's no like the chasing of the hand is treated like woefully serious. Like
Yeah.
it's
Okay, I see what you're
like there's that's what until the end, until they randomly the way they defeat the hand, then they just randomly are like, all right, it could be funny now.
Do you think
But,
Army of Darkness is horror comedy?
Not
It's kind of dropped the horror by then, and it's just had like he's
it's
fighting.
almost just an action. Like it's almost
yes,
just like
action comedy,
like
slapstick
it's-
comedy.
like there's comedic elements, but nothing in Army of Darkness is really scary necessarily.
What makes a movie a
Like-
horror movie? What does some of these movies have that others don't, Andrew? What am I missing here? What is I can just tell you what I think is and isn't, but I can't tell you why, and it's kind of bothering me that I can't articulate it. There's probably listeners like shouting their definition at
Screaming
their
at the
speakers
screen,
right
just
now.
You idiots! They're like, guys, I'm begging you to watch more movies. Andrew, take your own advice. But
Is it
it's,
people getting murdered? Because Beetlejuice isn't about
Not necessarily.
murderers. I've seen,
No.
like Evil Dead 2 is like murder, and Evil Dead 3
Like,
is like monsters.
the essence of horror, to me, is there has to be something scary.
Yes.
Like there has to be something scary. Now, what is scary is a very wide open field like that. And that's why I think part of this is so hard to quantify because like Shaun of the Dead and Idle Hands, despite both being quote horror comedies, don't feel like they're the same type of movie.
Shaun of the Dead isn't trying to be scary. Is that what you're saying?
I don't necessarily think it's like obviously there's gore in it, like there's people getting devoured by zombies, but I don't think the focus is to be scary necessarily. I think it's a send up, but like Dawn of the Dead. Would you say Dawn of the Dead is scary?
I would call it a horror movie.
But is it scary?
Is it scary?
So what makes it
this
horror?
This is when I act like a tough guy and
yeah.
be like, well, like Idle Hands didn't scare me, but it's very clearly a horror movie, horror comedy.
So that's a bad definition of horror to say that that there's a scary element to it because there's not necessarily something scary in it. Like Scary Movie isn't scary; it's labeled improperly. But it's man, what is the world? What does Wikipedia say horror? Seeks to elicit physical or psychological fear in its viewers. Seeks to elicit physical or psychological fear. Well, Idle Hands didn't elicit any fear from me.
I mean,
but it's still a horror.
You,
I don't know.
Some people.
I don't know, man.
We got to get
out.
We have to get out of here. We have like scraped the podcast to a halt. Maybe we can revisit this at some point, but we have to move.
No, we are not. Forward. We are going to. We are abandoning this. Cut it out of the episode.
This has been edited. That we just argued about this for 45 minutes, but just so people know, I trimmed it down a little bit for you.
And that was actually a follow up to us arguing about whether it's math or maths.
It's arithmetics. Andrew, let's talk about the creative team here. The movie has two writers, Terry Hughes and Rob Milbauer. Writers that I'm not super familiar with, but maybe it's because they don't have a ton of writing credits, but they are longtime producers, a lot of TV credits. Not too much information out there on them other than their credited works. They do work together a number of times, not exclusively, but quite often. The TV show Eureka is one of the main projects they did together. And then as far as writing credits, I mean, just kind of all over the place, but mostly TV. I'm not sure I saw many other feature films in either of their filmographies.
I actually love that their first credited thing on both of their IMDb's is an episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers called I'm Dreaming of a White Ranger, which is definitely a Christmas episode. And that is very, very funny to me. But so clearly television roots to start. It is this. I can only presume this must have been like a spec script or something that they had that potentially got picked up after like, the surge of like horror comedy or meta-aware horror stuff in the late 90s. Obviously the Screams, the I Know What You Did Last Summers. I feel like this is in that cloth to an extent. Obviously there's delays of varying types that I think delay this from being what would have been like a possibly a fall 98 film into kind of a spring 99 film. But it is interesting to look at their filmography because there's this film and then it's almost all TV series or TV movies or things of that nature. They largely seem to write as a duo, at least did for a long time. Looks like they possibly split in the late 2010s. But not a whole lot out there. Interesting. A lot of producer credits now, too. They're co-executive producers on a lot of television shows. Just looks like it's their one shot. But then again, like the way the film industry works, I'm not exactly shocked that they're like, oh, the movie you wrote made $4 million off its $25 million budget. We're not calling you again. And yet, Colin Trevorrow persists.
Hashtag PP. The movie is directed by Rodman Flinder. Interesting.
That's a name.
Interesting
That's
career.
a name.
his filmmaking roots are in like under the Roger Corman umbrella of schlock, if you will, working with his production company, eventually getting tapped to direct some of those features, and then moves over to studio movies with 2 horror films, Leprechaun 2 and Idle Hands, which we are talking about today. After that, does a lot of TV, including some very high-profile television like The Office, Ugly Betty, The O.C., Gilmore Girls, and just enters this whole new phase of the career with documentary filmmaking. Has a number of successful and quickly acclaimed documentaries, including one that I love, Conan O'Brien Can't Stop, the documentary about the year that Conan O'Brien could not appear on television, so he did live shows. That was all documented and made into a very entertaining documentary. And then I have to shout out one last thing, because I've oddly brought this TV show up a number of times on our podcast. The Kirsten Dunst Showtime show on becoming a god in Central Florida. He directed a couple episodes of that, a series that I like to recommend, even though it only lasted 1 season. And, it doesn't resolve everything, but it's a very entertaining season. I still recommend checking it out.
I thought you were going to bring up Arliss.
Chris is always talking about Arliss.
It's just the dude really loves whatever that actor's name is that just completely escaped my brain right now. What is that? It's Knox from Batman. What is that guy's name? Robert Wool. There it is. An interesting career here. Not a lot of TV series and film. TV series and television films. Not a lot of theatrical stuff. But some interesting things there. Like, obviously, you mentioned stuff like The Unborn in that kind of Roger Corman-esque era. He eventually does some episodes of Tales from the Crypt. He does the episodes Food for Thought and 99 and 44 out of 100% pure horror. Just, if you ever watched Tales from the Crypt, guys, it's a blast. I love anthology shows. I was just looking up Tales from the Dark Side. But I just love a good anthology television show. That's like the Twilight Zone, stuff like that, where they would always adapt these these like short stories and science fiction stuff. I always loved it. Just such strange stuff. Dark Skies, Chicago Hope, Arliss, Millennium, Party of Five, Dawson's Creek. I wonder if Dawson's Creek is what gets him the Idle Hand. Like the Party of Five, Dawson's Creek directing run is what gets him Idle Hands, because they're like, oh, you directed those television shows with attractive teenagers. You can now direct this movie about attractive teenagers. Still out there doing his thing. That Conan documentary was a little bit of a surprise to see in his filmography. It feels like one of those things that just doesn't quite fit like the others, but super cool to see that he's doing stuff like that. But definitely an interesting career. On Becoming a God in Central Florida is kind of the last thing I see that he really did, but certainly still out there to a degree. And
All right, Andrew. It's time. It's time that we jump into this, crawl into this, finger walk into this. Time to talk about this movie, all the positives, everything we like about Idle Hands. Are you ready?
Yes.
Stoner teen Anton Tobias is possessed by a demon. More specifically, his right hand is possessed and murdering people in the neighborhood, including his parents and 2 best friends. When said friends resurrect in their undead bodies, they try and help Anton solve his demon issues and score with his crush. After Anton cuts his hand off as a last resort, the hand goes on a killing spree at the high school dance. Anton and his crew are joined by the demon hunter Debbie to try and eliminate the 5-finger killer once and for all. That's it. Pretty straightforward. Guy gets possessed. His right hand is possessed. It's killing people. He cuts it off. The hand keeps killing. They gotta stop it. I had to throw in that line about Debbie, the demon hunter, showing up. Almost from just an entirely different movie, just jumping in here. I love that about this movie. We'll get to it. We'll talk about it when we get to scenes. But first, you know what we got to do. We got to talk about this cast. And we're going to start with the high point, best casting and best performance of the movie, because every episode we recognize one person who goes so far above and beyond the Call of Duty that they actually elevate the quality of the entire film with their performance. And we recognize that person by giving them the Mark Strong Award. So, Andrew, kick us off. Who is getting the Mark Strong Award for Idle Hands?
This is a tough question, Chris, because I think about there's a bunch of people I think that could take this, because I think there's a lot of people that are having a lot of fun making this movie, a lot of fun being in this movie, but in what might be seen as a controversial pick, possibly the most controversial pick in show history, I am giving Seth Green a Mark Strong Award for his role as Mick in this
Now,
movie.
why is that controversial? Why would you say that's
I'm just
controversial?
building it up. I'm just building it up.
Okay. All right. I don't know. There's some
but,
Seth Green hate about the follow. Alum of the show, Seth Green, we should say.
Of course. He's been in hold on. I'll get there.
I didn't get to talk about him on the show, but you did.
Yes, because he is in Josie and the Pussycats, because
There
he
it
is in Du Jour.
Backdoor lover. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, Seth Green plays one of Anton Devon Sawa's friends in this movie, one of the ones that he very unfortunately kills. In this case, he breaks a beer bottle and stabs it into his skull. So he spends the rest of the movie with a beer bottle sticking out of his skull, just super gnarly. The character's just so interesting to me because, like, he's obviously there for comic relief because Devon Sawa kind of plays it. Like, Devon Sawa's character is interesting. We'll talk about him more, but, like, I think the space that Seth Green sits in, like, he could be a lot more angry about what's happened, but he's really not. And even as the things start to unravel, he's, like, trying to stay on task of, like, nope, we can't go dancing. We got to watch for this thing. We got to do this. He's a great foil to all the characters. The chemistry he has with both Devon Sawa and Eldon Henson as Nub is just a lot of fun. Like, there's a lived-in quality to the three of them as friends that I think definitely feels authentic. And I'm just having a blast when he's on screen, and especially when he's interacting with the other characters. So for that reason, Seth Green as Mick getting my Mark Strong Award.
Andrew, excellent pick. And I gotta say, I'm gonna agree with you. Seth Green also getting the Mark Strong Award from me. I like our entire main cast. We're gonna talk about all of them. They are all doing great and they're believable as their stoner teen comedy roles are being asked of them. But Seth Green is the most believable is not the right way, but he's just the best at it. Like, I mean, that's the way to say it. Like, he delivers, like, he plays idiot super well. He plays slacker super well. He's at an 11 when everyone else is maybe at a 9 or 10. He's giving it that much more. Really clicks for me. The tons of memorable lines and line deliveries that have always stuck with me. And you mentioned the beer bottle to the head. What a cool look for a character. And
oh yeah,
this brings me to my Halloween story, Andrew. This is what I wanted to be for Halloween one year. It must have been 1999. It would have made me, I guess, 11 years old. Saw this movie, and I told my dad, like, I want to be... I don't even know if I wanted to be, like, Mick from Idle Hands. I wanted to be a zombie with a beer bottle in his head. Like, I just love the way that prosthetic look, and we tried really hard, but, like, that's not a prop you can find at, you know, Spirit of Halloween or whatever. And cutting... Even if you can cut glass clean enough, the actual glass bottle is going to be really heavy, and, like, to stick it to, you know, also you're sticking a glass bottle to a kid's head on Halloween. Like,
yeah,
it's
not necessarily the best thing.
We couldn't make it to work, and then we tried other ideas, like, oh, what if it's like a baseball or something else? And we tried, credit to my dad, we tried to make it work.
Yeah.
I think what I ended up doing that year, I think this is the same year. So I couldn't get that to work. But just kind of keeping in line with like zombies, and I wanted like really cool like zombie makeup. I was also a huge fan of the Resident Evil video games, as we've discussed. I think Resident Evil 2 might have been the most recent, and Resident Evil 2 has a lot of, like the stars. It's like an elite, it's like a SWAT team basically. So the cops, like like big location of Resident Evil 2 is a police station. There's a lot of like zombie cops. Like, oh, I'll be one of them. I'll be like a cop from Resident Evil because of cool makeup. And so we did that. We found like a cop Halloween costume. And then just added like zombie stuff to it, and I think I went with like a I think the gore was like a bullet hole because like a zombie someone put down, right? But like you just look at this kid, all knowing no context, like where I ended up was I was just a dead cop. I was just a cop with a bullet hole in his head.
Yikes.
So, like. Because it's not like people are like, oh, Resident Evil 2 video game. Like, just up as a cop, and now I was dead. But it started. The inspiration, funny enough, was originally Seth Green from this movie. And I still think that would be awesome to try to pull off. Maybe I will revisit that idea, see if I can't figure out how to make that prop works. But it looks super cool in the movie. It's the decapitation we'll talk about here in a moment is also very cool, but something that you've maybe seen before. And once they tape it to his head, like you lose a lot of the fun with that. But the beer bottle, it's simple, but it's fun. And I guess we'll talk about more when we get to scenes. I just love that there's zombies in this movie at all because that's completely separate from the whole demonic aspect. Like that's just a whole other thing.
It doesn't bother to explain it at all. Like it doesn't bother to have any idea why this happened to just them. It didn't happen to his parents.
There is an explanation, right? They died. They saw bright lights. They heard a lot of singing, and they just decided, "Fuck it, too far
to do that."
So they went back to their body, and I love how simple that is. It's just like that's one of my favorite line deliveries. Is that music like Enya?
Like Enya? It's like no. There's some really, really good. There's some really, really good lines in this movie. And some great. Let me rephrase that. There is some great line deliveries in this movie because
1000%.
there are like some just tremendous things where like people like the way they deliver stuff is just what sells it. And
we'll definitely be diving into those deliveries as we go through the cast and the scenes, but we got to keep moving through this cast. Andrew, Devon Sawa plays Anton. He's the lead of this movie. Devon Sawa, 1999. I mean, dude has been on the rise ever since Casper, which, by the way, makes him an alum of this show. We did talk about that movie. And I really liked him in when I was a young one. I loved the movie Wild America, which was that before or after this? It's right around this time. He stars
before this.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas. I should probably revisit that movie.
It's definitely held up.
I'm sure it's not great, but I think the nostalgia would just be absolutely overwhelming. He had a small part in SLC Punk the year before, an indie hit. And he's very memorable in that movie, though. Really pops. Man, a few years after this is in the movie Extreme Ops, which I had not thought about in 23 years. But I looked at the poster and I was like, man, I remember this. Like it's, extreme. The X is real big and scratchy, like the early 2000s. They're snowboarders, but they're also like taking down bad guys. They get caught up in this big like conspiracy or whatever. Extreme Ops, man, what a movie of the time. Obviously Final Destination. Did we cover
I was gonna say, are you gonna plow right past the fact that he was in Final Destination?
No. But did we talk about, we did Final Destination on the show, right?
We did like a Scream, the first one. Scream.
Okay,
we did like a Scream parody,
adjacent.
Adjacent month. Yeah.
Yes. So, along with the show, maybe he's a Mark Strong Award winner. Who knows? No way to check. But that was the year after Idle Hands, probably the height of his popularity. And from where I'm sitting, respectfully, he seemed to kind of just fell off the maps a little too extreme, but kind of out of public conscious, out of major releases. But you look at his filmography, dude has been steadily working and has a few like significant TV roles under his belt. The Chucky TV show, which I have heard a lot of great stuff about. He looks like he is recurring on that series, so good for him. And Heart Eyes, the horror movie from earlier this year, shows up in that. So
which I was a huge fan of. To be very clear, like I actually I had a lot of fun watching that movie. It was co-written by Christopher Landon, who did the Happy Death Day movies, amongst many other things. It had Mason Gooding from the last couple of Scream movies in it. And it was just, I had a lot of fun with it. It was obviously it's a slasher movie, but it just plays off of a lot of the romantic comedy tropes as well. And he plays one of the cops in that movie, and it's just a lot of fun.
I'll have to check it out, Andrew. What about Devon Sawa in this movie, Andrew? Idle Hands. What do we think?
Yeah, he's got an interesting spot to sit in because he's doing well, and that was kind of why I tempered what I was saying earlier, because he is largely playing this kind of straight once things kind of go south, but that's punctuated with the fact that for half of this movie he has to act like his hand is like rebelling against him. So like he's being very serious while he's like doing Looney Tunes slapstick stuff with his hand, really. So It's this like weird balance where like you can definitely say he's playing it straight, but also not. Like, so it's a weird spot to sit in. I don't envy him at all for having to like ride that line. Like, I can't imagine like the directors being like, cut. The hand's got to be more animated, man. The hand has got to be doing more ridiculous stuff. Like, you got to make it look better. And it's like, I can't even imagine how like that would be, how that would work. But
I mean, I said as much before we hit record, I think, but like this movie is like that 20-minute sequence from Evil Dead 2 stretched to feature length. You know, obviously when Bruce Campbell's hand gets possessed, he fights his hand until he finally cuts it off. Then the dismembered hand continues to wreak havoc. That is the plot of this movie. And I wonder, Devon Sawa, from everything I've seen about him and like interviews and stuff, like takes acting very seriously. Like even, yeah, I know, obviously these are professional actors, they take it seriously, but he seems to like, you know, be at that like Val Kilmer, Leonardo DiCaprio level where they're like very meticulous and serious, even if they are doing a comedy or something silly. So I would love to hear him like talk about this, being like, you know, I didn't want to watch Bruce Campbell because I didn't want to copy what he did. I wanted to find my own take on being, you know, I wonder how deep he went to like this hand, or maybe he did watch Evil Dead 2 and watch other instances of people acting as if their hand was possessed. I don't know how deep that that research could possibly go, but
so ridiculous to just say that out loud. Like it's a real statement. But yeah, it's a fun performance. He's kind of got obviously the most to do. He's got to like shoulder this original burden, and then obviously throughout the final act of the film, he's got to be the one trying to hunt down his hand and take care of all that stuff. But throughout the whole thing, it's I think he's doing a good job. I think he is trying to kind of make it not be exactly like those things you've seen before. And he does still get to get in on the fun and the ridiculousness and have some fun with it. So it's not to say that he can't have it's all super serious. There's definitely comedy that he wrings out of it, sometimes situationally more than like by dialogue or anything. But he's doing a great job with it. So yeah, props to him for what could have been like I said, it feels objectively ridiculous to just be like, all right, man, you have to spend half this movie with your hand like fighting against you. Like, I don't even know how I'd begin to unpack that. So props to him all the way.
I recall watching pop-up video on VH1 back in the day, and the music video was Eminem's Stan, which stars Devon Sawa as the titular character, as you might recall. So he's a huge fan of Eminem, he's a stan for Eminem.
Yes.
And one of the pop-ups was something along the lines of Devon Sawa says he is excited to get chest hair so that he can take on manlier roles. And that has always stuck with me about Devon Sawa, that like
Yeah,
he couldn't wait
yeah.
to like look older to get more meteor roles. And I would love to know a follow up to that. And also, like, what are the sources on the pop up video? How accurate was that show? I wonder if anybody's ever really given those tidbits a hard
Yeah,
look.
what's the strategy here? What's the data? Give me the hard data here.
Pre Wikipedia, I assume, but it definitely has that feeling of like Wikipedia or IMDb trivia, like anything that kind of sounds interesting is going to make its way into a little pop up.
Who knows?
All right, his other buddy Nub, played by Eldon Henson, of course, an alum of the show because we have talked about the Mighty Ducks, and he is one half of the Bash Brothers. People probably also know him from Daredevil, where he plays Foggy Nelson. And I gotta say this about Eldon. We talk about Pharrell Williams. We talk about Keanu Reeves. We talk about Paul Rudd, these ageless wonders. You're looking at me like, what do those people have in common? These are people that everyone says, oh, but they just don't age. They look the same forever. I feel that way about Eldon. I mean, Mighty Ducks, he's a kid. Yeah, he doesn't look like he's 12 anymore. But I distinctly remember the first time I saw the Netflix Daredevil show, and I was like, man, that looks like the guy from Mighty Ducks and Idle Hands, but it can't be him because he would be much older. Like, he wouldn't still look like that, but he still looks the same. Like, as far as him in this movie and him as Foggy Nelson, even up through the most recent Disney show, I think he looks like he's aged 5 years, and it's been well over 20. So kudos to that guy, and whatever he is doing, it is working. But I love him anytime he shows up, and I've honestly named like the major projects I know him from, so it's not a ton, but even still, this movie feels like an outlier. Like he's playing kind of like a scumbag, whereas he's much more wholesome, especially as Foggy, but even as Mighty Ducks, even though he's like the tough one, it's a Disney, hockey kids, like it's still like a wholesome show. So seeing him, be a stoner and a slacker and a scumbag here, feels like it's against type as much as it can be, but I think he still kills it, fits right in with the other two guys.
Yeah, I think they have a good chemistry altogether. Like, I don't necessarily think any of these guys, like, they're all kind of like, they're stoners, they're kind of slackers, but like, I don't really think any of them are bad guys. But yeah, it is a little against type, maybe. But like Seth Green, I guess this is a little bit more in line with the type of characters he typically plays. But yeah, with this, if you're comparing him to like Fulton or Foggy, it's definitely something that's a little bit more in the gutter, perhaps. But I think all of these characters play super well together. I think it's a lot of fun, and I think he does a good job. Obviously, Eldon's career speaks for itself. He's somebody that, that line at the conventions, man, it's pretty good for him. But Idle Hands, on the same level as Daredevil and Mighty Ducks, for sure. Yeah, it's a fun time. That's one of the things I think works so well for me about the movie is that, like, the chemistry of the three of them is just really good. And like, obviously they get a lot of comedy out of his head being detached from his body. They get a lot out of that, but it is, I do love when they stick it. Like, one of the scenes that was crystallized in my brain is the one where they stick his head back on, but then he eats the burrito and it like leaks out of his neck. And I was just like, yeah. But anyway, yeah, he's doing a great job. I like what he's doing here. And yeah, it's fun stuff.
Jessica Alba plays Molly, about as girl next door as you can possibly get. I don't think she's literally next door, but she's like across the street. But that's the
yeah, I was gonna say, like,
that's the archetype that we are working
yep.
with here. Just super pretty. He's infatuated with her, and I'm not going to try to go on a tangent like this is some kind of progressive movie. I don't think we're passing the Bechdel test or anything. But for like half the movie, we're like, okay, this is kind of a nothing character. She's just a pretty object of his affection. But by the time you get to like the final act, she has like evolved to be like fighting this thing alongside them. She's sort of taken all the wackiness in stride. She's had some very comedic scenes to play with him and his possessed hand, and I really like what they eventually do with this character. It almost like starts off as a tired trope and then kind of evolves into something more. Jessica Alba, of course, being an alum of the show, because we talked about those Fantastic Four movies. Could be a Mark Strong Award winner. No way to check. I don't think so though. But I like what she's doing here for all the reasons I mentioned, and I do like that Jessica Alba, who would be famous for her dancing abilities, does get like an extended dance scene here, and she's moving in a way where I believe that she knows how to dance. She's got rhythm and grace that I don't have, but like she's doing it to like The Offspring singing a Ramones song. Like the correlation is just like
It's a weird fever dream of a thing. Like it really is.
Yes. Yeah, but no, I really I like this performance, and I like this character because sometimes it's just important to remember that like teenage girls are horny freaks too. It's not just the teen boys, and this character is representing those teen ladies out there.
I'm not going to comment on that.
It's an important thing to take note of, Andrew.
I don't need to do that. But anyway, I agree.
You don't need to do what? You don't need to acknowledge that teenage girls be horny, Andrew. I think it's an important thing for you to say into that microphone so we can record it and release it to the world.
Chris, could you repeat what it is you wanted me to say again? Right into the microphone. I know you've already said it, so I don't need you to do this, but I would like you to state for the record one more time what it is you want me to say.
It's not just the boys. That's all I'm saying.
I don't need to repeat that, and I'm not going to, folks. But anyway, Jessica Alba is also like she sits out a good chunk of the movie. Obviously, she's kind of more from afar to start, but then gets more integrated into the plot as things move forward. And it's and then by the end of the movie, she's fully in the thick of it with all of our characters. And yeah, she gets to partake in the action. She gets to partake in the unfortunate reality of what this hand is doing. And she, like I said, she's leaning into it and she's having a good time with it too. I just feel like this movie had to be a lot of fun to make. And her performance definitely backs that up.
Andrew, let's talk about Vivica A. Fox as Debbie. Now, I don't think we've had a chance to talk about Vivica A. Fox properly. I don't think she's appeared in any movies we've covered. Maybe even talk about her in an ancillary way. Independence Day might be the number one thing that I think of or know her from. Kill Bill as well, pretty significant.
I was going to say
there. Yeah, but Independence Day, Andrew. She's great. Love every time she shows up. I love what she is doing here. Andrew, we did a bonus episode, best of the best episode, as we call it, on the movie Sinners. And we talked about how there's like this moment where another movie collides with the movie, the vampire movie you're watching, or the Southern gangster movie you're watching. And then there's these like Native American vampire hunters that chase a character into your movie and then they disappear. That is kind of what this character feels like, because she doesn't interact with our main characters until the very end, but she is like we don't know much about, she's a demon hunter that's been tracking this evil, and the tone and vibe that she is in is almost totally at odds with the stoner comedy we're watching, and then they bring it all together very nicely, but it feels like she's spilling in from a different movie. I mean, we may get in more detail when we talk about it in scenes, but there's this line she has where she says, there's evil out there, and I gotta kick its ass. It's like, what is this character? I
Who
love
is
it.
this person?
Yeah, and then when she
I don't
does like
know
meet
this
our
woman.
characters, she like immediately gets hit by a truck. It's wild what they do. But I love it, and she strikes up a romance, which is very odd. Strange decisions all around in this movie, but clearly having a blast. Clearly bringing like a ton of energy. Is there a character very similar to this in Friday the 13th Part 9 and Jason Goes to Hell? I feel like there's someone that's like chasing Jason as he jumps from body to body. It kind of reminds me of what's happening
I
here,
feel like
but
there is. I don't know if it's like as like as straightforward as that, but yes. There's the cowboy. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, she's like that.
Crichton Duke, played by Stephen Williams. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, he's full on dressed as like a cowboy. That's right.
Well, she's doing that here, complete with like a ceremonial dagger, excuse at the end. But it's good. We don't learn too much about the lore and mythology of this possession, which I'm fine with. The movie doesn't need it, but she brings just enough of that energy without overdoing it with needless expositional dialogue and lore and dumps and stuff like that. It's fun. I like it.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. Like you said, it definitely feels like this just mashes up with something else. Obviously, like the notion of what's happening to him makes sense that there's somebody out there trying to stop it, but it just feels it's still weird. Basically, this woman that just drives around in a mobile home, basically trying to hunt down this evil with her ceremonial dagger. I love when she decides that she needs to kill Devon Sawa, and even the guy that she's with is just like, "Whoa, now, like easy, like wait a second, let's slow this down a bit." But she's clearly having a blast with this role. It's a limited screen time, probably less than 10 minutes total. But it's a blast anytime she's on screen.
Andrew, somehow we are going to talk about Jack Noseworthy 2 weeks in a row. It's not a name that I knew offhand before we covered Event Horizon. Whenever we talked about Event Horizon, I did not realize I really knew this guy from anything else, but I'm watching this movie, the character of Randy shows up, and I'm like, dude, that's Jack Noseworthy. I just talked about this guy. Here he is from a role that like I knew very well and had no idea. And I don't know, maybe we'll cover more Jack Noseworthy movies in the future, but it was so wild. It seemed so random for him to show up. Like, what are the odds we'd put these two movies back to back? I promise you, it was not planned to talk about Jack Noseworthy in back to back weeks, but I love his character here. He's I don't even know. I was about to say like I guess he's a metalhead, but also a gearhead. They think that he's going to know a lot about how to stop this demon because he listens to heavy metal music, which turns out to not really have any kind of correlation. He loves his Ford. He keeps calling it his Ford, his big jacked up truck he's always working on. Kind of a strange amalgamation of like a few different tropes jammed into one person. And then he again becomes the romantic interest for Debbie. It's this movie does some wild stuff, Andrew.
It takes some swings, yes.
He has the line that a delivery has been stuck in my head. I know they played it in the trailers, where he says, "Idle hands are the devil's playthings," and he says that in the drive-through line, and that's kind of about as much of an explanation as we get for the possession and why it might have chose Anton. But last thing I'll say here, I think I cut it out of the episode, but when we did Event Horizon, I spent a couple minutes talking about how friggin' weird of a person Jack Noseworthy looks in that movie. I don't know what it is, but in Event Horizon, the dude's proportion, he just looks very strange to me. Looks good here, though. Looks like a nice young man. I don't know what it is, but he had a glow up in 2 years. I guess.
I guess the Brady Bunch movie is a few years before this, so who knows? But I don't know. Jack Noseworthy's in this movie too. I don't think he shows up again anytime soon. But yeah, he's just along for the ride. They think he's going to have this big deep knowledge because he's listened to all the metal music, and he doesn't. It's just a fun little bit part, and he factors into our finale too, and it's a blast. This whole movie's a blast, man.
Andrew, I mean, there's one more person in this cast we got to talk about, right? There's one more person we have to mention. Plays a pretty significant role. They're on most of the posters and promotional material. I'm, of course, talking about Christopher Hart, who plays the Hand. That's what he's credited as, Christopher Hart. Now, maybe you've heard of this guy before. Maybe you've seen some of his other work. I'm going to go through his entire filmography as listed on Wikipedia. First off, Columbo Goes to the Guillotine. This is an episode of Columbo, the TV show. I didn't Google image it or anything. I'm just going to read you what the role says. It says magician at cemetery. Okay, seems normal enough. 1991, he's in Addams Family. In 93, he's also in Addams Family Values. Now, he's playing the same character in both movies. That character is Thing, the dismembered hand. 1997, he's in Quicksilver Highway. It's a made-for-television comedy horror anthology movie. His character, Lefty. Andrew, if I were a betting man, I would say it's a left hand.
You would be correct.
1998 short film called One Hand Left. There's not even a link to that. If I were a betting man, I would say there's the dismembered hand there. 1998 Addams Family Reunion. That's the third movie that everyone rightfully forgets about. I wonder if he's the only returning cast member. Did anybody else come back for that, Andrew?
No, it's actually very odd though, because Carl Strucken came back as Lurch, but
Okay.
Tim Curry steps in as Gomez for that movie.
Which sounds incredible, but I'm trying to remember if I even saw it. I knew this movie existed. I'm wondering if I even...
It was a television movie. Like, it was not... It was
Yeah,
not
I knew it was
nearly
like...
the level. Like, Daryl Hannah comes in as Morticia. It's just not... It's just not on the level of the other ones. It was obviously a television movie, and that obviously impacted it. Now, it is interesting that Tim Curry plays Gomez Addams to me, just because, like, for many, that's like, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, Tim Curry, obviously, the thing about playing Gomez Addams now is that you're going to be compared to Raul Julia, and there's no real good way to do that. Like, but the irony of that, and I want to say this with all the respect in the world to Raul Julia, is that's not really how Gomez was in the original stuff. Gomez is a weirdo.
Sure.
And he looks weird. And he's just a strange looking man. So when they cast Luis Guzman as Gomez in the Wednesday series, there were a lot of people that were like, what is this? I don't get it. Like, this is not. And I'm just
visually, that's much closer
that's
to Gomez.
Much more in line. But that Raul Julia performance is so iconic that it's almost become the defining vision people have of the character, to the point that no matter who plays it, you're getting compared to that. It's a tough thing. But Tim Curry, I'm like, if you're gonna do somebody else, it's pretty good.
1999, he's in the movie we're talking about now, Idle Hands, playing the hand. 1999, same year, in the TV show Angel, in the episode I Fall to Pieces, he plays the hands. So, this guy has a lane. He has a niche. It is playing a dismembered hand. Now, Andrew, the question I have for you, do you think this guy is just incredibly dexterous. Something about his hand, something about his performance. He understands how to move his fingers to sell that a hand is actually walking on its own merits. Do you think it's something along the lines of like his skill? Or do you think it's like he did the Addams Family movies and now it's just fun to get Thing to play a dismembered hand in your project? Where on the spectrum do you think we're landing here?
Yes. I think it's definitely part of it is definitely that like he played Thing, and that was just, people were like, one of the things that people like about those movies is that like even Thing has like a personality, like as a character, like there's a lot of emotion in that hand. So I think a lot of people like that, and truly, if you're gonna have a detached hand in your movie going forward, you go for the best. Why wouldn't you? I think that's definitely a big part of it. And I would hesitate to think that, you don't play a hand that many times without that kind of being the recurring thing. So
he is a magician first and foremost, a very accomplished magician. So there's probably something to like the dexterity needed in your fingers to be a sleight of hand magician that helps him do that stuff. Man, talk about a line at the convention, right? I mean, I don't know, Andrew. You meet this guy at a con. No, what?
There's there's two things he's known for. Let's not.
Well, one thing in particular he's known for. Watching the realization wash over your face was worth it, Andrew. I was gonna ask you, what do you have him sign, Idle Hands or Addams Family? But you would go Addams Family, I assume. Yeah,
Addams Family Values specifically.
Values, yeah. I think I would go Idle Hands just because like the hand is actually on. Well, Thing is on covers, I guess. I don't know. We don't need to waste any more time talking about this, Andrew. We need to talk about the scenes of this film, and let's just start with the best scene in the movie. Or at least our personal favorite. So, Andrew, in your opinion, when is this movie firing on all cylinders? What is the best scene in Idle Hands?
For me, it is the scene where Mick, Nub, and Anton all make the realization that Anton is this mysterious killer that's been killing all these people around town. This has all been a mystery thus far as what's happening and what's going on. There's been hints that his hand is doing things that he doesn't want it to. But all of this has largely been implied to this point. But what happens right before this is he discovers the dead bodies of his parents, who he has not seen for several days, he says, which is wild to me. Because if I had not seen my parents for several days, I would have been like, what is going on?
Especially if my dad is Fred Willard. I would want to hang out with him every day.
Yeah. So they show up and there's like a video playing on the TV. I don't remember what music video is, but it's like a rap video with a lot of very thinly dressed women. But it is so they're enjoying.
Oh, you don't
that,
remember the name of the song,
oblivious.
Andrew?
I do not.
Can he sing it for you?
No.
To pop that Gucci.
Thank you.
I didn't sing it.
But so they're distracted from that at first. Then they realize he turns it off, and then they turn and they're like, "Oh God!" And so there's like these comedic bits where Nub tries to resuscitate his father despite the fact that he's been dead for days. But then they start realizing that there's like strangeness. Like the first thing is they find a scrap of a t-shirt in his mom's hand, and they look over and they see that it belongs to the shirt that Devon Sawa is wearing. And then Mick goes to call the cops, so they have this moment where they're like looking at things, and I know one of the lines for sure is they realize the slip of the shirt is from Anton's shirt, and Seth Green's character just goes, "The killer was wearing your shirt." Like it's literally like it's the type of realization where you're just like, oh
You're so close.
You guys just have no idea. And then, like, the same thing, like, Nub sees that they wrote ant on the floor in blood, and it was obviously somebody trying to write Anton, but Nub is just like, ants? They were killed by ants? And even Mick, and the best part is, like, Mick in that moment tells him, please don't be stupid. And then immediately follows it up with, the killer was wearing your shirt. Like, just literally, like, just the dumb. Like, they're clearly not smart. But so at this point, once they realize this, Mick goes to call the cops, and that's where things go south. At this point, he ends up this is where he stabs Mick through the head with the beer bottle, and we get the gnarly makeup of Seth Green for the rest of this movie with a bottle sticking out of his head. We get a bit of a brief chase scene with Nub where Nub is trying to escape. And then ultimately we get a very gnarly decapitation sequence where the idle hand throws a circular saw blade through his neck and cuts it off. And I'm just going to say it. For a residential grade circular saw blade, it's very sharp.
Very sharp. Clean cut. We get the classic.
The classic. Waits a second, then his head falls off. Like,
yeah, which I always say Resident Evil popularized that, but this is same year or a year
99.
before. Resident Evil 1 or Resident Evil 2000?
2002, maybe.
Okay.
There's got to be a samurai movie where that happens. There has to be, because I know it's also
2002.
sort of happens in Kill Bill.
Resident Evil.
Um,
Okay. So it's definitely like this era. Yeah. Cut. There's a pause. You see the blood, and then it falls off. And I love the extra bit that his head rolls all the way down the basement stairs before landing at Anton's feet, and it just says, "Cool."
because it's finishing his statement from before. Because he's like, everything's gonna be, and then he gets his head slot off, and his face rolls down, and he goes, "Cool."
See, I thought he was commenting on how cool the VFX were, like how cool that shot was of his neck getting cut off. But yeah, finishing the line, I guess that works too.
It does. But I just, this whole sequence, it's when clearly we kick into a different level here. The movie is clearly now embracing this kind of insane level of whatever that it's doing. I think all of this was very, very well executed. And it's just a blast to watch it unfold in real time as we realize that Anton, because I'd actually forgotten the framing of like, oh, how does this happen to Anton? How does this like get to him? And we never really find out why it comes to Anton. It's not really important. But there's definitely a moment of like realization. And I think the movie handles that really well. I think the comedy beats here all work extremely well. And I was just having a blast watching this scene unfold. So this is my best scene of the film.
I hate to just keep agreeing with you, Andrew, but I'm also going to highlight this scene as my favorite. I think it really encapsulates what makes this movie special. It's got both horror and comedy elements, and it's a moment where you're really like, I don't know where this movie's going from here, because if you're watching this movie completely blind, you probably don't know he's the killer. Like, we see his parents getting killed by an unseen force. We see him waking up and, like, oblivious to the fact that his parents are dead. I don't know that there's really anything tipping you off that he's the killer until this scene. So you're going to be realizing it alongside his friends, probably a little bit ahead of his friends. As we said, it takes them a while to realize it. Because up until this point, seemingly the hand has been taking over his body while he's asleep. He has not been aware of the killing so far. He himself does not know he's the killer. And it's not until this scene where the hand's about to get caught, where his friends are going to call the cops, that the hand decides, okay, it's time for me to come out of hiding. It's time to reveal myself. And it takes over and starts killing his friends, even while Anton is conscious and aware of what's happening. So this like sets the rest of the movie into motion, but it's just a fun reveal that, oh crap, he's the killer. His hand is the killer. I mean, if you saw any kind of advertisement or trailer, or maybe even you saw the title of this movie, maybe you saw it coming, but it's still fun to go through the paces and reveal that. Leading right up to him burying everybody, and then like his friends pop back out of the ground undead, which is, like we said earlier, completely unrelated to this possession. Like, just in this universe, if you don't want to make the long walk to the pearly gates, you can just go back in your body and stay there. Like, that's the extent of the explanation that we get, and I absolutely love the movie for that. I love that it doesn't tie it into the demonic possession or try to over-explain it, because again, that the line delivery, like we just figured, it. I mean, it was really far.
It was really
so
far.
good.
Yeah, I love that. I love that bit.
So good.
I love almost everything about those two characters. Is like, and it's not really a Jay and Silent Bob type thing. Obviously, they're rapport with each other, and that's kind of the point. But yeah, I love those two characters, and this sequence kind of kicking off the rest of the sequence I mentioned, kicking off their arc for the rest of the movie is just, it's wonderful.
All right, so we are in Stoner Month. We're talking about movies about weed featuring stoners. It's a stoner comedy. You know what we're talking about here. Something's been ringing in my head since I heard Seth Rogen talk about it. I think this is when he was on an episode of Blank Check when this came up, but he's talking about his own career and his early writing roles and working with Judd Apatow, and how almost like important it was for him for the characters in these comedies to like casually smoke weed. Like he talked about the scene with him and Paul Rudd and I don't know, what is that, 40-Year-Old Virgin or Knocked Up, playing video games together, and he's like, and they're smoking weed because it's something that like a normal, well-adjusted person can just do. Whereas in movies, 99% of the time, especially up until the Seth Rogen era, if you will, if you smoke weed, it's because you're a burnout stoner. It defines your character and it's one specific archetype. And I'm just kind of curious to kind of track that as we go through the movies this month, because that is certainly how weed is being applied here. Like, these guys are losers, they're burnouts, they have no ambition. In fact, the sort of character arc for Anton is kind of about giving up weed, or at least in part. I mean, he uses it in the finale, it's complicated, but he makes it a point to be like, no guys, I actually want to care. I'm done smoking weed. Like, I want to like do something with my life. It's, again, the weed is tied into like the laziness.
I do want to point out,
aimlessness.
I love Mick's response to that statement when he's like, all I do is sit around, because he's trying to get the two of them to help him go save Jessica Alba's character. And he's trying to kind of rally them, and they're just like, nah, man, like, you're done. The evil's gone. Like, you've done your part. You're finished. You don't have anything more to do. And he's like, nah, man, all I do is sit around all day, smoke pot, watch TV. And Mick goes, no Kevin Costner speech. Let's just go.
Yes. I do. He's like, I see where this is going. Let's just move on.
He's like, I get it. We're gonna go. Like,
I love that he calls it a Kevin Costner speech, like a big, like, soapy, emotional speech, just a Kevin Costner speech to him.
It's what he's known for at that point. Robin Hood, Waterworld, Postman, all of them. Like, it's yeah. But yeah, I just, like I said, Seth Green is doing some really fun stuff here, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's good. I did clock it 9 minutes in. We're smoking weed. At the 9-minute mark, it's when we see him alone in his house, and he's got the asthma inhaler that he keeps on his neck, which is like secretly a pipe, and he lights up on his couch. At one point, he is so desperate because he's dry, man. He runs out. He goes to his friends. They say they don't have any, and Nub tells him that, I'm pretty sure you can get messed up on oregano, nutmeg and oregano.
Nutmeg and oregano.
He is so desperate that he actually mixes those together and tries to smoke it, and immediately starts coughing his lungs out. But like, that's how much he is into weed, Andrew. I mentioned Fred Willard a minute ago. He plays his dad. We didn't go through him in cast because he essentially has one scene. I just see him in the opening of this movie. Whenever you see his dead body, it's very obviously like a dummy. So, he's not in the movie much, but R.I.P. Fred Willard, but dude was just insanely funny. He's the kind of person that can, like, read the back of a shampoo bottle and you'll be like in tears laughing just watching him to do it. Me and the family just finished a complete watch through of Modern Family, where he plays Phil's dad. I loved any episode that he showed up. He must have been pretty close to the end. Like, you can see him looking pretty frail by the end of that, and his character dies in that show. And it hits pretty hard because obviously he's no longer with us. But yeah, from like all the Christopher Guest stuff, I mean, Best in Show comes to mind as one of my favorite performances of his. But here in this movie, you see him going to bed with his wife. He walks out of the bathroom and she says, "Did you blow out the candles?" And he says, yeah. Clearly lying. And then gets into bed. That line delivery on the, yeah, it might be his only line in the movie. Kills me. So funny. Fred Willard. Gotta give it up. Love the guy.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a bit part. I recognize the woman who plays the mom too. I don't know what form necessarily, but it's Connie Ray is her name. She's in
Stuart Little the same year, Andrew. That's gotta be it.
Oh wow. No, that's not it. She's actually, I remember her from a movie called My Fellow Americans, which is a very, very weird movie that my parents liked. She's also apparently a flight attendant in a Very Brady sequel, but she has a lot of television work as well. But the brief performance of Fred Willard, like, I love it. It's really good. But it's there's also some weird cameos in this movie. Tom DeLonge is in this movie.
Yeah, guitarist and singer for Blink-182 is works at the Burger Jungle. Kyle Gass is also in there, which I didn't clock watching the movie, but I see it in the credits. And then there's the manager there is a bit actor, but who has stayed steadily working ever since. So they really packed that place with some cameos and bit actors. But that is funny. And what I love about the Burger Jungle, I love a fake fast food restaurant.
It's my favorite.
They can't help themselves to go over the top with the theme and the uniforms and like a custom speaker for the drive-through. Like, they go all out.
I want
and it's like it's like
I would buy a Burger Jungle shirt. Like, I would, like, and it would be that deep reference that nobody understands.
This is from the $4.2 million grosser Idle Hands from 1999.
Right.
That
like,
would be.
I like in DC Comics, there's a Big Belly Burger. I've always thought that was really fun. Obviously, there's a lot of Kevin Smith movies have been
Clerks
inundated.
2,
like,
a huge one.
Like movies, like a fake restaurant based off of the character.
I think
introduced
later
in
this month
Dogma.
we're getting another fake drive-through restaurant.
I do, but there's something about a fake restaurant when you go in on the theme, go in on everything. I agree completely. It always jumps out to me, and I always love it. Like, fake establishments are like some of just my favorite parts of movies, where like there's just so much now where like it's just like generic. They don't put any effort in at all, and I'm like, no, man, like give me a themed, like literally, like when he's ordering, he knows exactly what he wants. It's like he wants, like, I want the Jungle Burger with these fries with the safari sauce. Like,
that's the other, like, they go, every menu item is like is on theme as well. Like, it goes harder than I think, honestly, any real life fast food joint goes.
Oh yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
I mean, like McDonald's has Mick across the menu, but like, it would be like if the employees wore golden arches, like, giant on their head, like, or they all dressed up like
which they
McDonald's,
might have at some point. Who knows? But
maybe.
But yeah, there's one line in this sequence that I love too, where, because outside the Burger Jungle is like a monument to the twins that were killed there. That's the other clue they find when in the scene I mentioned, where like they find the earrings from the twins. And they realize that, he killed the twins too, which was this big kind of murder that happened in the town as well. But
they find their ears, to be clear.
They find their ears, yes, not earrings.
Sorry. In a bag of onion rings, which is why Mick says earrings.
Earrings, that's right. And then they're both left ears, I think, is the
Right.
that's so they can't be from the same person. That's
Yeah.
their key that it was the twins. It's two.
So it has
left
to be
ears, but,
twins.
has to
Not the
be.
same person. Got to be twins.
But so Randy is out. So Randy, the kind of metalhead neighbor that they think can give them some advice, is outside the burger jungle, and he's trying to like pick up mourning teenagers from this
Yeah.
monument to the twins outside. It's really gross. It's like one step from like Will Ferrell in Wedding Crashers, where he crashes funerals just trying to have sex with women. So you're just kind of like, oh god. And she's like this one time, and the girl is saying like, this one time they asked me to go on a double date, and I thought they were jerks or something, so I told them to go blow each other. And Randy just goes, wow, did they? And I'm just like, wait, what? It's like, what? But it's that whole sequence, and then obviously this gives way to him like impersonating an employee trying to get out. We find out all the information about the restaurant, but this whole sequence was just super funny.
Maybe the best like slapstick comedy moments, or one of them in the movie anyway. He's a impersonating employee, so he needs to talk to Randy, who already blew him off, but Randy's going through the drive-thru. So Anton runs in the restaurant, puts on one of their goofy hats, tells the person working the window it's break time, and he's trying to talk to Randy through the speaker, but someone's at the window asking for their order, and the way he just grabs a bag and pitches it out the window, it's just, here! It's so good, because it's like,
Yep.
I don't even know if it's the hand taking over or if it's him, but like the way he chunks that out the window into the car, and they just take it like a dick, and then they just drive off.
Yeah, they just drive off. Like they
but-
don't even like it's like, wait, what?
Him throwing that obviously smashed burger gets me every time. It's so good.
This movie is just so funny, and it's like the sequence where they go to, in the sequence I mentioned, there's a bit where Mick is like, I'm gonna call 911, what's the number? And it's one of those dumb lines that I just can't help but like chuckle at, because I'm like,
Yeah.
you're so dumb.
There's some pretty gnarly kills whenever the cops show up to
Yes.
his house with the noise complaint.
Yes.
So 2 cops he had a run in with earlier come in. They see his undead friends. At first, they assume he killed them, which I guess he did, but they're freaked out by realizing they're undead. They shoot Nub in the head, who, of course, he's already dead. And then Anton is just begging for them to cuff him and put him away. His friends are like, what are you doing? But he's like, this is the only way I can be stopped. Cuff me. And he's
Yep.
trying to keep his hands busy because all he knows is what Randy told him. Idle hands are the devil's playground. So he wants to keep his hands busy, thinking that'll keep the evil at bay. It does not, because as he has these giant knitting needles and he's trying to get cuffed, the hand takes back over it, grabs this knitting needle, rams it through the cop's ear, goes in one ear, out the other. Super, super cool effect. Looks awesome. This is the kind of stuff. I'm not going to drag us back into a horror comedy debate, but this is like, you could play this straight in a horror movie. This is a great way for any person to die in a horror movie. It's just a gnarly, gross looking death. Like this isn't a laugh necessarily. Like, again, you could play this exactly in a horror movie, especially like the first third of this movie. There's so many like jump scares and music cues, and like the opening titles of this movie are super gnarly. Like, if you didn't know what this was, you would think this was a straightforward horror. With the opening titles, like all like the blood and the faces and the blood and stuff, it sets a cool tone. But yeah, I love this knitting needle death. And then he kills the other officer by shooting him in the face with a taser. You see his face like practically melt. Pretty cool stuff, Andrew. Pretty cool kills.
Yeah, and we're talking about the saw blade kill earlier and the beer bottle to the head. Like, so this movie actually goes pretty creative with the way people are killed, and the kind of usage of sometimes especially early on when we don't know what's killing things, using the off screen or the subtlety to show the kills and just show how brutal they are. Like, it definitely uses a lot of that to great effect. So props to the director. for finding and working it all out and making them happen. But there's definitely some really, really brutal, gnarly kills in this movie. And yeah, it's all the better for it. All the way through. Like there's even, as we get to the finale, and we've kind of already whittled down most of our characters, there's one last kill that's super brutal because Jessica Alba and her friend are like on the run from the Hand, basically, where it starts trying to kill people. It rips off the scalp of one of the members of the Offspring. Brutal.
Dexter Holland, Andrew. Put some respect on the name.
Yeah.
We have two Pop Pump Kingers in this movie. Dexter Holland and Tom DeLonge are both in this film.
Yeah.
There's some bar trivia
And
for you.
There is. One of them at least is playing with his band. The other one's just there. But
Yeah.
But he gets his scalp ripped off. The Hand tries to kill a bunch of people. It doesn't really succeed necessarily, but then it starts chasing after Jessica Alba's character and her friend. And they come across this big, giant industrial fan that, of course, they have to sneak through. And Jessica Alba gets through, but then right as her friend is too scared to do it. She obviously takes too long. The Hand gets her, eventually hangs her with this rope they were using, drops her down through the fan, turns the fan back on, and lets her get wound up and then diced through the fan. And it's an implied kill, but it's brutal. And it's the right amount of showing you just enough and then showing you the aftermath to be like, woof. Oh God. So it's pretty nasty, pretty gross. And then Seth Green and Mick and Nub rather come by and make some uncouth comments about how, now
We
Nub
still get
is
a
not
piece
going
of
to be
her.
hooking up with this woman for sure. You still get a piece of her. We can go back. I do love that scene because I'm pretty sure he was like, oh man, I was going to get some tonight. And he just goes, I doubt it. Like he's just like not,
Yeah.
just not having it whatsoever that his friend was gonna hook up. And it's like, yeah, but the kills throughout this entire movie are super brutal, and I have a blast. They had a blast with all of them.
Andrew, I got a note for you here. Whenever the dismembered hand first makes its way to the dance, before it even gets inside the building, it makes 2 kills in the parking lot. You see some teens making out in the car, and they are in their Halloween costume. They are both dressed up as members of KISS, proving that in 1999, there were teenage KISS fans, Andrew.
Yes, and they contributed to the $18 Detroit Rock City made. But what I love about that sequence, here's your trivia for you. And this is
What do you love about that sequence, Andrew?
One, they die. But it's no. So they're dressed as members of KISS, which is just very ironic to me but they're listening to a song. Are you familiar with this song?
Andrew, perhaps I wasn't paying close attention to the music that's playing in the scene. So what was the song?
The song is New York Groove. Now, this song has been performed by KISS, but the song actually comes from the 1978 Ace Frehley solo record. So I can't help but notice they didn't use an actual KISS song. So the people that made this movie apparently weren't big KISS fans. So it's a bit of a bummer. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard that story, but like in 1978, all 4 members of KISS released a solo album because the rumor was that like the tensions were at an all-time high. So the way they tried to fix it was by letting each one release a solo record, but they were still like KISS branded, but they were genuinely like solo albums. So every single member of KISS.
Peter Criss solo album out there?
Yes. And it's just as good as you'd imagine.
Wow.
But like it's kind of wild, but like one of the so a lot of it was like very much like, okay, I get why you guys were a band. But the one thing I will say, I think Ace Frehley's is actually really good. There's some really great songs on there. It doesn't surprise me at all either now.
Ace and Paul putting out a good solo album doesn't surprise me. I'm not surprised that Gene Simmons has a solo album. Peter Criss is the one that's baffling to me, but
Yeah, Peter Chris is like it's a trip, but I just like that they were listening to New York Groove, which is very much and it's not even it's a cover. Like it's off Ace Frehley's solo album, but it's a cover written by Russ Ballard. I forget what band Russ Ballard was with when he recorded it, but just thought that was a fun little twist that because he was Gene, he wasn't even Ace, wasn't he? The guy? Because the woman is Paul Stanley. She's got the Star Child stuff, but
and he's
I'm pretty sure the guy's Gene
He's
Simmons.
got the
yeah,
demon. Yeah.
So they're not even doing one of them isn't even Ace Frehley, but they're using Ace Frehley's song. So like it's ridiculous. Or maybe it's
Well-
representation. It's Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, a song by Ace Frehley, and then Peter Chris nowhere where he belongs. But
I love that this is where your mind was during this whole time, getting enraged at the inaccuracies because
not on the woman's large naked chest. Yeah.
this is the gratuitous boob shot in the R-rated movie. And you get this great gag where the dude is like groping her and feeling her up, and there's a third hand groping her large breast, and gropes him for a while before she looks down and realizes it is a third dismembered hand. It chokes her out, kills both of them. Good kill, good boob shot. Not great music cues, but we've covered those bases. hashtag
I just
PP.
told you it was a good song. It's just not a
yeah,
Kiss
but
song.
not the right, not appropriate for, I guess, Kiss fans. But not the
Sure,
most
Rock City was
inappropriate
right
either.
there.
All right,
It's a Jason.
Andrew-
It's a Jason.
we picked our favorite scene of the movie, and I stand by it. But if I wanted to really, really zoom in on a micro scene that I think is awesome, it's whenever the hand is inside this school, and it sharpens its fingers in an electric pencil sharpener.
Oh man, this
So-
is brutal.
Cool. Like like the camera slowly like panning around it. You see it stick its pointer finger into a pencil sharpener. You hear the noise. It's as gnarly as you imagine. It pulls its finger out and then lifts all of its other fingers to show you that they have all been sharpened to a point. I love this final act because you have a dismembered killer hand. And this movie does like every gag you can think of to have fun with this idea. Which some like this wouldn't be on my bingo card. Sharpening its fingers into points with an electric pencil sharpener. Super cool, super gnarly. Microwaving the hand getting burned, the hand going inside of a puppet, controlling the puppet. The hand scalping Dexter Holland on stage, like ripping someone's head off, like every cool gag, choking somebody. They like, it's almost like they made a checklist. Like, okay, what does the hand need to do once it's dismembered? And they started knocking it off. But just that visual, just that concept, just that idea, like whichever these two writers thought of it, a hand sharpening its fingers in the pencil sharpener. Mwah, such a cool touch. I love it.
I agree. That is super gnarly too, because you're just like, oh man, because you're a hand. What are you going to do? And so he just sharpens his fingers, and so the fingers can kill people. And it's like, oh, that's terrifying. Just a horrible visual.
Also, because this is a teen comedy, the principal is in his office after hours, alone in the dark. You hear him arguing with somebody on the phone about money, about finances, about his card. They finally get sorted out. His payment goes through, and he has called a 900 number, a sex operator hotline, and he's talking about nerdy teacher stuff. And it's just, again, classic teen comedy stuff. And he says, it's almost like I can feel you touching me, because the dismembered hand has crawled up his pants, and it rips through like the zipper of his crotch and grabs down. And it's just fun. It's just fun.
It's just fun to watch a guy get his junk ripped off. I get it.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah, classic teen comedy fun.
The finale of this movie, we have
Yes.
Jessica Alba strapped to the top of a car in what auto shop?
auto
What do you
shop.
call that? Auto shop.
Auto
yeah,
shop,
yeah. Okay, because she's gonna be the sacrifice, something, lore. It doesn't matter. She's gonna get killed. And it is made its way inside of a puppet by this point. But I love this. They finally dispatch of this hand. It's leaping through the air. Debbie shows up just in time to throw the dagger. The dagger impales the hand, and then it nails Seth Green in the chest. It pins the hand to the chest, and the hand starts writhing in pain, going, "Rrrr," and then, poof, and it's gone. And that's it. And Seth Green comments on it. He's like, well, that's it? No explosions, no "Rrrr." I just thought there would be more. And that's all. That joke, that gag always gets me. Andrew,
Yep,
recently
every time.
we rewatched Sonic the Hedgehog 3 for family movie night. Spoiler alert, but a villain gets killed in much the same way. They get like thrown into this giant electric field, and as soon as they touch it, they just go zip, and they're gone. Like a bug zapper. It's that subversion will always get me.
I love this bit where it's just, I mean, no, I'm glad everybody's all right, but like that was weak.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like disappointed. I do love this sequence. The way they defeat the hand is they get it high. It's the ultimate stoner solution. The hand at this point is like started going inside puppets, which is just all the perfect gags that you could do at this point. And so it's trying to like raise this car up that she's on the top of so that it crushes the ceiling and presumably kills her. And all three of them are trying to stop the hand, and they can't really do it. So they decide getting high as the solution. But then Anton realizes he can get the hand high. I don't know how, but he does.
So he takes a big hit off of Mighty Joe Bong, which is a giant bong made out of a muffler and some other car parts. Blows it into the puppet that the hand is in. And then the puppet, Andrew, the puppet that the hand is controlling, the puppet's eyes roll back in its head. It's so fun.
I love the exchange here where he's just like, what is it? He's like, I'm trying to find the quote real quick. I had it written down, but he goes, "Hey, don't forget my bong." And he's like, "You did not make that bong." He's like, "Yeah, I arc welded it. And you don't even take auto shop. F you." Like, it's perfect friendly banter.
Yes.
It's perfect banter amongst friends. And it reminds me, it's just I loved it. But yeah, like, so they get the hand high, but my favorite gag here too is then the reverse, where like, in the aftermath of all of this, where they think she's saved, they accidentally drop the car on Anton.
It's so out of nowhere.
And I love that, like, Nub is just immediately like, "That was not my fault. That should have come down so much slower." Like,
yes.
And I love it. And then we get the same kind of moment where now Nub and Mick decide to go to the light and the Enya music, but it's Devon Sawa that chooses to remain behind. But he's not undead for some reason. We don't. That's
yeah.
not explained.
Let's not think of it too
best
much.
Not to think about it too much. Yeah.
I mean, like, I love this movie, even this ending. I don't know why you do this. I don't know the point of crushing him, and then he's actually alive and in a body cast and in a hospital. Like, I other than just putting a button on the movie, I guess. Like, I don't know why he has
this was the redone ending, so I don't know if they thought this might test better. I don't know, but yeah, it was definitely a weird one. So he gets crushed, but he wakes up in hospital in a full body cast, and they do explicitly say, like, she says, like, "It's really cool you decided to blow off heaven to kick it with me." So, like, they make it pretty clear he did what his friends did, but he's not undead.
But his body, from what we can see, his head doesn't seem to be undead. And then Mick and Nub come back as guardian angels to look over him. And then when they leave the room, we're turning the lights off. On the ceiling above his bed says, "I'm under your bed." The same message that was written above his parents' bed before they were killed. He freaks out. And in the hallway, they say, "Do you think we should tell him that we wrote that on the ceiling?" And you find out it's just them playing a gag on him. And then there's this last line, Andrew, one of the lines that has always been stuck out of my head. Like, they're just walking through the hallways as angels. And Nub says, "Let's go walk through a nurse." As if that's like a sexual thing you can do as an angel. Like, I don't know.
It's a pretty good ending. There's one more Anton Mick in exchange I want to share, where it's he's about to chop off the hand, because that's another big thing of this movie that I don't know that we explicitly mentioned. He does chop off the bad hand at one point, which is his right hand. But Mick is just like, wait a minute, if you chop off your right hand, how are you going to chop the other one off? Which is just a ridiculous thing to ask. But he goes, oh no, man, the lefty's a keeper. I mean, I guess it wasn't idle enough. And he's like, really? And he's like, oh yeah. I mean, I hit the remote with it, light it up, relieve a little tension. No, this is the answer. Like, he's just like speaking very clearly about the fact he's going to cut off one hand, but even his friend is just kind of like, oh, you're going to cut them both off. And he's like, no, man. The one's fine. The other one's good. But again, it just kind of their weird circular little relationship that is just very, very fun. But
and his first attempt to cut it off is by putting it into what the movie calls a bagel guillotine or guillotine. Which is a real thing. They're not called that, but a bagel slicer is a real thing. And he puts his arm through it, and Nub is like, those things can't even cut my bagels. And sure enough, he slams it down, and it just bends the metal around his arm.
Yeah, it just breaks.
Which is pretty... I mean, don't put your hand in a bagel slicer. It probably would do more damage than this. But those things kind of suck. Like, I have one. And I couldn't tell you the brand offhand, but it's like the original or whatever. Like, it's like the best brand out there, the first one anyway. Like, it's a legit one. And after a few uses, like, I have to literally pre-cut like halfway through the bagel and then use the slicer, which almost defeats the purpose of having a slicer. And I've been thinking about it. I'm like, why do all of these things suck? And like, I guess it kind of makes sense, Andrew, that they don't sell mini guillotines. Like, if you make that blade too sharp, it is extremely irresponsible to probably have sitting around your house. Like, I'm guessing that's why it's not like butcher knife quality metal and sharpness on the bagel slicer, bagel guillotine.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Chris, buy a knife.
Well, dude, we buy like 3 or I guess 4 rolls of bagels every time we go to Costco. We cut them and freeze them. So, you know, if we got to cut, there's like 32 bagels. Like, it takes forever with a bread knife to saw through each one, where you can just slap, roll through them.
But you've just admitted that the slapper doesn't work.
I have to cut. So I put it in the guillotine. So
you're doing both jobs anyway.
No.
So just get a sharper knife.
If you just cut through a bagel with a knife, you've got to hold the bagel carefully, and slice through with a bread knife, which it's doable, takes a little time. It's not the cleanest cut, no matter how good your knife is, but it'll get the job done. But this guillotine will hold the knife in place. It's what do you do? Do you get bagels from Costco, Andrew? You're a Costco guy. You get the bagels?
I get a variety of bagels from a variety of places because.
But do you have to cut them yourself?
Bagels. Yes, I get real bagels, man.
Hey, my Costco bagels are real bagels.
I get like the New York Bagel and Bialy bagels from the Good Shop.
Okay.
And yes, I have to cut those myself, and I use a knife.
Bread knife?
No,
or like a kitchen knife.
Use a good knife.
Okay.
A sharp edge.
I use a guillotine.
Good job.
It's mildly inconvenient.
You're going to be ready when we rebel against the French elite. But it's. But no, But there's a saying I heard once that you should not buy single-purpose kitchen utensils.
I mean, yes.
Basically, don't buy something that is only designed to do one thing, because it probably won't do. Like, there's strawberry pitters, like stuff like that. Like, just they're not. Yeah. You can use knives for that. Don't do it.
Okay, there's a few anyway. I would stand by. A friend of the show, my wife, loves fresh pineapple slices. It's much cheaper to buy a whole pineapple. We have a pineapple corer.
The pineapple core.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I will give
save so much time, cuts it nicely. That's good. But years back at a White Elephant gift exchange, I went home with a quesadilla maker, like a waffle iron, but for quesadillas. And I was like, cool. I made a quesadilla twice on that thing, and every other day of the year, I had this giant kitchen appliance either on my counter or taking up space in the cabinet that I never used. I didn't buy that thing, I got it for free or whatever, but even still, much more of an inconvenience than useful. So I understand It's good advice. It's good advice to live by. But
Anyway, the bagel slicer does not cut his hand off.
It does not.
To the point. So he ends up having to use like a meat cleaver, and he eventually takes it off.
which is
And,
what you use to cut your bagels. A meat cleaver, right? A butcher knife. You just
one swipe done.
You cut the bagels in half, like in the 2Cs, like an insane person. You cut them in
That's
half
how
the
you
wrong
do
way.
it, right? You dip the edges in cream cheese, you stick them back together. That's how you do it, right?
Wait. That sounds awesome. Actually, wait. Did we just find the best way to eat a bagel? You have like
No.
two cream
No,
cheese
we did
cups
not.
next to each other, and each end of the C goes in each one, and then you take one bite, and then you dip each side again.
Done. Yeah. I think we just
Beautiful.
invented breadsticks, Chris.
But cream cheese.
Anyway, guys, you can see why they gave us our own show. But
And they pay us
Anyway.
too much, Andrew.
we get cents every month. But
Andrew, I love this movie. It is
it's fantastic.
It is a horror
It is
comedy
an absolute blast.
favorite. I went a long time without rewatching it. I won't make that mistake again. I will watch this movie again within the next 20 years. Sooner than that, I should say. Yeah, it's a blast. Like I get not being critically praised. I get
Sure.
maybe even not being certified fresh. The score it ends up at, the reviews it ends up at seem pretty harsh. The box office is pretty surprising. I'm not surprised it didn't make a ton of money, but 4.2 million or whatever it was is insane. Like, this movie did not get enough love in 1999. It seems to have found its audience, but I could see this go. Like, I would get the 4K if they did a big fancy 4K. Alamo does a midnight screening or whatever. Well, make it like a 10 p.m. screening. I'm old.
Yeah, I was
but,
gonna say, make it
I would
like,
go,
yeah, like
I would go see it
got-
in theaters for that experience. It's a great time. I really enjoy it.
I got things to do tomorrow. I can't do midnight screenings anymore.
All right, so you know how we're doing Stoner Month, right, Andrew? And we talked last week before we really jumped into Stoner Month that you and I, well, we're not stoners, certainly. Not really even dabblers, or we don't smoke weed. We don't typically spend our days getting high. No judgment on those that do, Andrew. But what if, for the last week this month, Andrew, what if we both get really high and record the episode? What do you think?
I don't know.
What if?
What if?
Would
I don't know.
it be enjoyable for the listeners?
No, I'm guessing.
I have no idea. I don't know.
It'd be a 4-hour episode where there's like 8 20-minute breaks. There would just be like a, or it's like us endlessly trying to type and Google something, but the audio is literally just us being frustrated. We can't figure it out. It's just like one really long segment of that guy from Clerks. Like, do you have that one with that guy who was in that movie that came out last year, but it's just endless? Where we're just like, so the scene in the movie where the guy does the thing, you know, that thing he does where like he picks up the one thing and he does it, and we'd literally just go on like for hours. And
It's
it would
us
be
spending
excruciating.
30 minutes trying to define a horror movie. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh man, I ended up going through that. No, thanks to the editing of Podcast Magic, that's only a 4-minute discussion, Chris.
Yeah,
Definitely not the 3 hours it actually was.
Realistically, we would both we might deliver an excellent episode, and then at the end we realize one of us didn't hit record, and it's
Absolutely,
useless.
100%. 100%.
All right, Andrew. Well, table that, and let's jump into the task at hand, Andrew. It's the end of the episode, which means
Yep.
it's time to enter AA. It's time for Ask Andrew, the part of the show where I ask you a question and you have to answer it. It's in the rules, it's in the contract, read the fine print. If you would like to leave a question for Andrew for a future episode, you can do that by hopping into our Discord. There's a link right there in the show notes. You can also vote for what we're going to cover in December. Submit your movies while you're there. But over in our Discord, there's a channel called Ask Andrew. Andrew himself cannot see it, and you can leave the questions. I want to bring you a super simple one today here, Andrew. This is from Mike Lynch. He says, "Ask Andrew, could you talk about Keanu Reeves for a while?"
Yeah. Is that it? There's nothing more to
No
the
further
question
context is
beyond.
given.
Yeah, sure. I have always been a huge fan of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and Bill and Ted, the most recent sequel, Bill and Ted Face the Music. Those things are largely about the triumph of humanity in many regards, and content of that nature is always going to appeal to my sensibilities. And Keanu Reeves is a huge part of that. Obviously, here recently, like he's just an interesting one because there's obviously that early career where he's got like Bill and Ted, and then obviously in the late '90s into the 2000s he gets the Matrix run, and then now here lately he's got obviously the resurgence with John Wick. Now there's arguably some kind of ebbs and flows in between, but obviously there's other stuff mixed in there like Point Break and Speed, which are some of my favorite action movies ever made. Speed is just so good. Like people know it's good, but like I don't know that people talk about how good it is. Like Speed rules and Point Break also rules. And yeah, maybe stuff like Devil's Advocate's not as, or Dracula just wasn't quite working for everybody. #PP. But I've always been a big fan. And I actually just saw he was a guardian angel in a movie called Good Fortune, that was directed by Aziz Ansari and starring Aziz Ansari and Seth Rogen.
Yeah, I was supposed to go see that in theaters, and it's already out. I hope I didn't miss a window, but yeah, I that looks really good. I've heard good things.
I saw it Saturday. I saw it last weekend, I guess, but I had a lot of fun with it, and it does get a little real. Like there's a line where Aziz Ansari's character just says like he's frustrated, and he's like, "I did everything right, and nothing's working out," and I think that's a sentiment that a lot of people can agree with. But there's one line in particular that Keanu Reeves kind of like turns into a human at one point, and he's sitting at a burger restaurant with Seth Rogen, and he's like eating the burger, and he's like, oh man, because he's never tasted food before because he's an angel, and he has the burger and he loves it, and he has the chicken McNuggets and he loves it, and then he's just like, try the milkshake, and he drinks the milkshake, and he's like, man, and he looks at Seth Rogen, and he's like, could you imagine living for thousands of years seeing strawberries and having no idea how delicious and wonderful those little berries are? And Seth Rogen goes, no, I can't, but to be fair, that's a chocolate milkshake. And just the delivery of it is so good. Just because it's just the perfect build up, and then the immediate like rug pull to be like, yeah, but I've just always been a huge fan of Keanu Reeves. Obviously, there's this sense of positivity to him. People talk about how he doesn't age. I think that's starting to fade a little bit. I think if you look at Keanu Reeves now, you can definitely see that the age is catching up with him. One of my favorite things that was, I guess, an adjacent thing, is I remember I took some summer school classes when I was in high school just to check some boxes off, so I didn't have to take them during the school year. And I took a health class, and at one point on one day we watched a made-for-television anti-drinking movie called Under the Influence. That was like I said, it was an anti-drinking movie that starred Keanu Reeves and Andy Griffith. And it was just super weird and super wild. But basically, Andy Griffith played this like patriarch who like couldn't stop drinking, basically, and Keanu Reeves played one of his sons, and it was just a weird, trippy thing. And I was like, oh, that's Keanu Reeves. So I've found ridiculous, like that movie's not been released officially in any format, but you can find it on YouTube and stuff, and it's just ridiculous. But obviously there's just the wholesome nature of him too. Like obviously everybody has nice things to say about Keanu Reeves. Almost no one has bad things to say about him, from his support of the Wachowskis to, the support that he gives to other people, the kind of wholesome nature of him, all of that builds in. I think it's important to the conversation. But I have always been a big fan, and I'm glad that he's still out there. I will say, #PP, last John Wick didn't do a whole lot for me, but I'm glad that he's out there doing it. I think that there's just a lot of fun to be had when he's on my screen. And then like just to see him do something like Good Fortune and kind of step back into like full on like comedy, like starring in a comedy, which is not something he does that much anymore. Like Bill and Ted was probably the last like proper comedy that he starred in. Because since then it was like Matrix 4 and John Wick 4 and like, yeah, you've got like Sonic 3, which is obviously like a largely comedic movie, but his performance is not particularly comedic.
He's got that great cameo in Always Be My Maybe. That's comedic.
Yes.
But not
that's a good
starring,
one.
to be fair.
So to see him do like Bill and Ted and stuff like Good Fortune, where he's just being funny. And even Good Fortune is interesting in that like largely he gets to do the fish out of water thing because he's a guardian angel that just stops people from texting and driving. That's his job, and he wants more from himself. So that the method of like feeling like you're stuck and you're not really contributing carries over to him. So it's I'm not saying that it reinvents the wheel, but it's just everybody's being used very effectively. It's a movie that's, like I said, it's doing its job well, and I appreciate that a lot. And I know he was Duke Kaboom, Toy Story 4, so he's even been doing some other voice stuff beyond that. But it's just nice to see him out there. It's just nice to see him doing things. And whether it's Youngblood back in the day, which was a hockey movie starring Rob Lowe and Patrick Swayze, through Bill and Ted, Parenthood, Point Break, Dracula, like Freaked. He's got a cameo in Alex Winter's kind of weird, trippy, prosthetic movie Freaked. And even the weird stuff like Johnny Mnemonic, or like I said, The Devil's Advocate. And another personal favorite, The Replacements. Like I've always really liked The Replacements. It's been one of my, it's just a classic football. Like you watch any football underdog movie, it's almost always an aged, washed up quarterback. There is absolutely a receiver who won't be able to catch the ball. He's super fast, but he can't catch the ball. Yes. There's always a whole bunch of big old dudes that brought in as the linemen. Like there's so many like tropes, and then the kicker is always needlessly good. It's like the one player on the team who's actually good at their job. But like Necessary Roughness and The Replacements are almost the exact same movie down to like the wire. But I've always loved Keanu Reeves, and so this was and yeah, it just happened that I saw Good Fortune very recently. So that was kind of a nice little, like I said, it's nice to see him out there being in comedies, just full on starring and leaning into the roles and having a blast with it. And so I
think that qualifies as a while. I think you hit it.
Yeah.
So Mike Lynch, thank you for the question. There's your thoughts on Keanu Reeves from Andrew Williams. Andrew, Stoner Month. Rolling along. What are we watching next week, Andrew?
Not talking about Bill and Ted. But despite
are
the
they
fact that
explicitly stoners?
No, they're just idiots.
I mean, it's the vibe, like we talked about. It doesn't have to be explicit.
It's definitely a vibe, but they are definitely not in the stoner vibe. Like the first movie is very explicit in that these guys are just dumb. Like it doesn't really shy away from that. The second movie doesn't really shy away from it either. But anyways, speaking of implied stoner movies, next week will be Dude, Where's My Car? Which some would say is not inherently a stoner movie, but I think this movie definitely qualifies because of the implication.
Sure, dude. I haven't watched this in so long. There's certainly a few gags I remember. There's gonna be a lot I don't. I'm excited.
I've watched this movie a lot.
Nervous.
I've watched this movie a lot.
Over the years, or like back in the day? How long did
it's in my brain well enough from how often I watched it that like I know the movie back to front. Like I know what happens in this movie. Now are there going to be gags and specific jokes that I maybe don't remember? Sure, but like by and large, I remember most of this movie, and I can already tell you there are definitely some gags that have aged flawlessly.
Okay, perfect. Can't wait. We'll be back next week with all the positives and everything we like about Dude, Where's My Car? Until then, just remember that maybe not every movie is great.
But all movies have greatness.
Thank you to Mark Benavides for singing our theme song. You can check him out on Instagram at NotThatMarkAnthony. Thanks to Mitch for the music. You can follow him on Blue Sky. You can check out our show notes for the SoundCloud link. Check out our store on TeePublic for some Best of the Rest merch. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend. That's the only way that we grow. Follow us on social media at BOTRcast. Thank you.